You are currently living inside a psychological cage, and the most tragic part of this reality is that you built it yourself by being entirely too predictable. Think about the person in your life right now who consistently takes you for granted. It could be a partner who no longer puts in any effort, a friend who constantly disrespects your time, or a relative who casually pushes your boundaries without a second thought. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why they feel so incredibly comfortable treating you this way? It is not because they are inherently stronger than you, and it is certainly not because they do not care about the consequences. It is because they have completely mapped out your behavioral algorithm. They know exactly how you are going to react before you even do it. They know your triggers. They know how long you will stay angry, and they know exactly what words to say to make you forgive them. Because they can predict your next move with absolute certainty, they feel no fear, no anxiety, and ultimately no respect for you. Human beings are, by their very biological nature, pattern recognition machines. From the moment we are born, our brains are wired to look for routines and predictability, because predictability equals safety. When ancient humans could predict the changing of the seasons or the movement of predators, they survived. Today we apply this exact same survival mechanism to our social interactions. When we can predict how someone will behave, we feel completely safe around them. But in the ruthless game of power dynamics, being perceived as safe is the most dangerous position you can possibly hold. When you are safe, you are boring. When you are predictable, you are vulnerable. You become like a transparent piece of glass. People look right through you, and eventually they start walking all over you. Robert Greene, in his 17th Law of Power, states a terrifying but undeniable truth. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Greene explains that predictability gives other people a sense of control over you. If they know that ignoring your text message will result in you sending 3 more anxious messages, they own you. If they know that canceling plans at the last minute will result in a mild, passive-aggressive sigh followed by you eventually agreeing to reschedule on their terms, they own your time. They have essentially placed you in a neat, categorized little box in their mind, labeled harmless and reliable. As long as you stay in that box, you will never command true respect, and you will certainly never possess any real psychological power. Imagine a very common, everyday scenario. You have a friend who has a habit of making subtle, insulting jokes at your expense when you are around other people. For the past 2 years, you have reacted exactly the same way every single time. You get visibly annoyed, you defend yourself, you argue back, and maybe you act slightly cold toward them for the next few days. Then eventually things go back to normal. Your friend does not fear making these jokes, because the punishment is entirely predictable. They know exactly how much it will cost them. A brief argument and a few days of tension, and they have decided that the cost is worth the entertainment. They are playing a video game where they have already memorized all the cheat codes. But what happens when you suddenly, without any warning, change the code? The psychology of unpredictability is rooted in the deliberate shattering of expectations. It is the conscious decision to stop reacting like a programmed machine and start acting like a shadow in the dark. To make someone fear your next move, you must first destroy the map they have drawn of your personality. Let us return to the scenario with the disrespectful friend. The next time you are in a group setting and they drop one of their signature passive-aggressive insults, they lean back expecting the usual show. They expect the annoyance, the defensive argument, the predictable drama. But this time, you completely break the pattern. You do not argue. You do not get defensive. In fact, you do not even look angry. Instead, you stop talking, look them dead in the eye, and let a slow, chilling smile cross your face. You hold eye contact for an uncomfortable amount of time, say absolutely nothing in response to their insult, and then smoothly turn to the person next to you and start a completely different, highly engaging conversation. In that fraction of a second, a psychological earthquake occurs inside your friend's mind. Their brain, which relies heavily on pattern recognition, suddenly flashes a massive red warning sign. The input, their insult, did not generate the expected output, your anger. The algorithm has failed. And when a human being's algorithm for understanding someone fails, a very specific emotion takes over, primal anxiety. By simply smiling coldly and refusing to engage, you have thrown them into a state of suspended terror. They do not know what that smile meant. Are you plotting revenge? Do you know a secret about them that they are unaware of? Have you simply stopped caring about their existence altogether? Because you did not give them a predictable emotional reaction, their brain begins to fill the empty space with terrifying possibilities. You have just taken the safety out of the interaction, and you have replaced it with danger. To master the art of unpredictability, you must realize that silence and randomness are your two most lethal weapons. People expect you to be a straight line, logical and emotional in ways they understand. When you begin to zigzag, when you respond to aggression with eerie calmness, or when you respond to distance by completely withdrawing your own presence, without a single word of complaint, you strip people of their perceived control. You force them to stay awake at night, analyzing your every word, trying to figure out what you are going to do next. In the next stage of this psychological breakdown, we are going to explore the mechanics of strategic inconsistency. I'm going to show you exactly how to apply this to the people closest to you, how to scramble their mental radar, and how to create an aura of such profound mystery that people will constantly lean in, terrified and deeply fascinated by the shadow player you have become. Strategic inconsistency is not about acting like a lunatic or throwing chaotic emotional tantrums. That is entirely counterproductive, and chaos is always a sign of a weak mind losing its grip on reality. True unpredictability is highly calculated, deliberate, and fiercely controlled. It is the dark art of giving people exactly what they want just long enough for them to take it for granted and then, without any warning, explanation, or display of emotion, completely removing it. It is the conscious manipulation of absence and presence to scramble their mental radar. Think about a romantic relationship or a very close connection where the other person has slowly started to pull away or take your presence lightly. They take hours to reply to a simple text, they act a little distant, and they assume you will just sit there and wait for them because you always have. They have categorized you in their mind as the chaser. Your predictability is their ultimate comfort zone. They know with absolute certainty that if they pull back, you will lean in. They know you will send the double text. They know you will ask, "Is everything okay between us? Did I do something wrong?" They feed off your predictable anxiety like a vampire. Now you are going to shatter their algorithm. The next time they pull back or act dismissive, you do not chase them. You do not ask what is wrong, and you certainly do not shower them with extra attention to try and win their affection back. Instead, you mirror their distance, but you amplify it by 10. You become deeply, profoundly unbothered. When they finally do reach out to you hours or days later, expecting to find you anxious, needy, and waiting by the phone, you respond with an upbeat, brief, and completely distracted message. You act as if their absence was completely unnoticed by you because your life is vastly more important and interesting than their validation. This is where Robert Greene's art of seduction blends flawlessly with the 48 laws of power. In the realm of dark psychology, there is a concept called intermittent reinforcement. Imagine a slot machine in a casino. If that machine paid out a prize every single time you pulled the lever, it would quickly become boring and you would walk away. If it never paid out at all, you would get frustrated and leave. But because it pays out randomly and unpredictably, the human brain becomes completely addicted to the game. Gamblers will empty their entire life savings pulling that lever, desperately trying to figure out the hidden pattern, addicted to the terrifying thrill of not knowing what will happen next. You must train yourself to become the psychological slot machine in the lives of those who underestimate you. When you are with them, be intensely present. Be warm, charming, highly engaging, and give them the absolute payout of your premium attention. Make them feel like the center of the universe. But the exact moment you leave their physical presence, you vanish into the shadows. You do not text them constantly. You do not update them on your daily activities. You become an absolute ghost. This extreme contrast between intense, burning warmth and absolute, freezing silence creates a massive psychological vacuum in their mind. Their brain cannot process the inconsistency. Because they cannot predict when they will get your warmth again, they start asking themselves endless questions. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest in me? Who else is taking up their time? You have successfully taken the heavy burden of anxiety off your own shoulders and placed it entirely onto theirs. They are no longer taking you for granted. They are actively working to solve the mystery of your behavior. You have placed them in a state of suspended terror, fearing that if they make the wrong move, they might lose access to your warmth forever. Let us look at another deeply relatable scenario that happens in almost every family or long-term friendship. Think about the entitled relative or the selfish associate who constantly demands your time, your money, or your resources. They expect you to say yes to every single favor because you have historically been the reliable one. They drop urgent demands on your lap at the last minute, entirely confident that your predictable sense of guilt and obligation will force you to comply. They have calculated your exact emotional threshold. They know that if they use the right tone of voice, play the victim, or apply just enough pressure, you will eventually cave in. The next time they drop a massive, unreasonable demand on you, expecting the usual begrudging compliance, you are going to break the pattern so violently that it leaves them speechless. You look them directly in the eye and say, "No, I won't be able to do that." And then you do the most unpredictable thing of all. You offer absolutely zero explanation. You do not make up an excuse about being busy. You do not apologize profusely. You do not offer to help them find another solution. You just deliver a flat, emotionally hollow rejection and let the heavy, awkward silence hang in the air. Their mind will completely misfire. Because you did not give them a detailed excuse, they have no logical points to argue against. Because you did not apologize, they cannot use guilt to manipulate you. Your sudden, unpredictable refusal to play your historically assigned role shatters their sense of reality. They will instantly fear your new boundary simply because they have absolutely no idea where it came from, how far it extends, or what you might do next if they try to push it. They will suddenly realize with a cold shiver of terror that the person they thought they owned and controlled is completely out of their grasp. This is the very essence of making them fear your next move. It is never about issuing angry verbal threats. Verbal threats are the ultimate sign of weakness because they telegraph your punches. A barking dog is rarely perceived as a true danger. Unpredictability is the deafening silence before the lethal strike. It is the terrifying realization in your opponent's eyes that they have entirely misread the chessboard and that you have been playing a much darker, much deeper game this entire time. But simply creating confusion is not enough. Confusion without a deliberate purpose is just a magic trick. And eventually people get tired of tricks. In the third part of this psychological breakdown, we are going to explore how to weaponize this unpredictability to actively force respect and submission. We will dissect the exact moments to deploy this tactic, not just to confuse those who disrespect you, but to paralyze them with the sheer terror of not knowing how or when you will retaliate. The game of shadows is about to escalate. To weaponize unpredictability and actively force respect from those who have historically taken you for granted, you must deeply understand a military concept known as the fog of war. In a physical battle, the fog of war is the chaotic uncertainty regarding the enemy's position, their numbers, and their next move. An army that is blind will always panic, make fatal mistakes, and ultimately surrender, simply because fighting an invisible enemy is psychologically exhausting. In the realm of everyday social dynamics, your predictable emotional reactions are the radar signals that reveal your exact position. When you cry, when you argue, when you eagerly explain yourself, you are handing the enemy a brightly illuminated map of your psychological landscape. You are telling them exactly where your weak spots are and how much ammunition they need to break you. Unpredictability is the deliberate act of turning off that radar and plunging your enemies into a dense, suffocating fog. Let us examine the very common phenomenon of the subtle saboteur within a social circle. This is the person who constantly tries to bait you into an argument in front of others. They use backhanded compliments, they deliberately misinterpret your words, or they bring up sensitive topics purely to agitate you. Their entire strategy relies on you taking the bait. They want you to become visibly angry or deeply defensive so that they can sit back, look at the rest of the group and say, "Wow, you are being so sensitive today. Calm down." This is a classic trap designed to drain your power and transfer it to them. The predictable reaction is to match their energy, step into the arena, and fight the battle on their terms. But a master of unpredictability never fights on the enemy's terrain. When the saboteur throws their carefully calculated verbal punch, expecting you to explode, you deploy a tactic that completely short-circuits their brain. The calculated underreaction combined with intense clinical scrutiny. Instead of getting angry, you completely drain all emotion from your face. You stop whatever you are doing, you turn your body entirely toward them, and you look at them as if they are a fascinating, slightly pathetic specimen in a laboratory. You let 3 agonizing seconds of pure, heavy silence pass. Then, instead of addressing their insult, you ask a completely unrelated, hyperspecific question that shifts the spotlight directly onto their internal insecurities. You look at them with dead eyes and softly say, "Are you feeling okay today? You seem unusually stressed and your tone is very erratic." Notice the absolute devastation of this unpredictable maneuver. You did not defend yourself against their insult, which immediately renders their attack useless. More importantly, you did not give them the anger they were craving. Instead, you flipped the script and diagnosed them. By asking if they are okay, you have taken the high ground, framing their malicious attack as a symptom of their own mental instability. The fog of war instantly descends upon them. Their brain panics because the script has been shredded. They suddenly feel exposed, as if you can see right through their cheap manipulation. In a desperate attempt to regain control, they will likely start stuttering, backpedaling, and defending their own emotional state, completely abandoning their original attack. You have forced them into submission simply by refusing to play the predictable role of the victim. The psychological terror of unpredictability truly peaks in the aftermath of these encounters. When a toxic person realizes that their manipulation tactics have entirely failed and that they can no longer predict your reactions, they enter a state of severe anxiety. They realize they have lost control of the toy they used to play with. Because they cannot handle this loss of power, they will eventually launch a reconnaissance mission. This usually comes in the form of a probing text message or a casual phone call a few days later. They will reach out with a fake, friendly tone, acting as if nothing happened, or they will send a vague message saying, "Hey, just checking in, are we good?" This is the ultimate test of your new operational code. The predictable, weak response is to reply immediately and say, "Yes, we are good," because you want to avoid awkwardness and restore the fake peace. The other predictable response is to send a massive paragraph explaining exactly why you are still angry, which hands them all your emotional data on a silver platter. The unpredictable, terrifying response is to leave them wandering endlessly in the fog. When you receive that probing message, you wait. You do not reply for a full 24 hours, letting them sweat in the silence, constantly checking their phone, wondering if you have finally decided to cut them off forever. When you do finally reply, you strip your message of all warmth, all emojis and all reassurance. You simply say, "I am perfectly fine." You answer the literal question, but you absolutely starve them of the emotional validation they were desperately hunting for. You do not say "we are fine," You say, "I am fine." You do not ask how they are doing. You do not invite further conversation. You place a massive, impenetrable brick wall right in the middle of their path. Because your response is so painfully neutral, their imagination takes over. Imagination is always vastly more terrifying than reality. Robert Greene understands that when you give people nothing to hold on to, they project their own deepest insecurities onto your silence. They start analyzing every interaction they have ever had with you. They start wondering if you are talking to other people about them. They realize with a cold, sinking feeling in their stomach that you are no longer bound by their rules. By simply withholding your predictability, you have transformed yourself from a convenient option into a genuine threat. They will start walking on eggshells around you, carefully weighing every word they say, terrified of triggering a response they cannot anticipate or control. This is how you force respect. You do not demand it with loud words. You extract it by making the alternative too psychologically terrifying for them to endure. In the fourth and final part of this masterclass, we are going to lock this dark psychology into your permanent character. We will discuss the ultimate danger of unpredictability, how to ensure you do not isolate the people who genuinely matter, and how to forge a new identity where you are forever. The shadow player, the invisible architect who commands absolute respect in every room, simply because no one can ever guess your next move. The transition from deploying a psychological tactic to permanently embodying the dark psychology of unpredictability requires a profound shift in your identity. You can no longer view yourself as a secondary character waiting for the plot to happen to you. You are the invisible architect. You are the one writing the code, and everyone else is merely reacting to the environment you have constructed. But to wield this kind of psychological dominance without destroying yourself in the process, you must understand the critical danger of this weapon. Unpredictability is a lethal poison to manipulators, but it is also highly toxic to genuine intimacy. If you walk around acting completely erratic, cold, and unpredictable toward every single person you meet, including those who have proven their absolute loyalty to you, you do not become a master of power. You simply become a deeply unstable, isolated individual that nobody can trust. Robert Greene teaches us that the laws of power and the arts of seduction are instruments of strategy, not excuses for chaotic psychopathy. The highest echelon of power is not the inability to be warm. It is the absolute ruthless control over who gets access to your warmth. To the people in your inner circle who respect your boundaries, who honor your time, and who never take your presence for granted, you must offer profound stability. You offer them the highest quality of your attention. You are a rock for them. But the very second, the absolute microsecond, that someone attempts to cross the line, the moment they confuse your generosity with stupidity and try to play games with your loyalty, the environment must instantly change. The warmth evaporates. The radar turns off. You plunge them immediately back into the terrifying fog of war. By drawing this massive contrast, your unpredictability becomes infinitely more devastating. When a manipulator realizes that you are perfectly capable of being warm and reliable to others, but that you have deliberately chosen to go completely dark on them, it shatters their ego. It proves that the problem is not that you are crazy. The problem is that they are simply no longer worthy of your premium energy. You must start treating your presence, your emotional reactions, and your words as the most expensive currency on the planet. Never be cheap with your reactions. When you react impulsively to an insult, or when you over-explain yourself to someone who does not care, you are severely discounting your own value. You are handing out your premium mental energy for free to people who cannot even afford to pay you basic respect. Why would you give a highly emotional, deeply invested response to a person who has not even earned the right to hear your voice? When you become entirely unpredictable to your enemies and to those who take you for granted, you stop being a victim of their manipulation, and you become the most dangerous element in their reality. You become the storm they cannot forecast. You become the silence they cannot decode. Eventually, they will stop trying. to play mind games with you, simply because the psychological cost of engaging with you is far too high. They will realize that trying to manipulate you is like trying to grab a handful of smoke. They will pack up their cheap tactics and look for an easier, much more predictable target, leaving you entirely in peace. If you have absorbed this entire masterclass to the final second, your days of being an open book are permanently over. You are closing the book, locking it, and throwing away the key. You will no longer hand people the algorithm to your emotions. If you are ready to completely rewrite your psychological code, stop being taken for granted, and master the dark art of strategic unpredictability, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notifications and join the elite inner circle of covert shadow, players who move through the world in absolute silence, demanding respect not with their volume, but with their terrifyingly calculated absence. Go down to the comments right now and lay down your digital signature. Write your commitment for today and answer this specific question. In what area of your life have you been entirely too predictable, and who is the very first person that is going to experience your sudden, unexplained silence? Declare it right now. Thank you for your support.